Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here with the Win Your Worth podcast. Special guest today, Emma Irving from Smith Partners here in Adelaide. Now, Emma, good to have you on the show. And I know that Dennis just did a session with you also in BDM Coach because you are a very accomplished BDM, which is great. And but Emma also is, probably one of the closest agents to where I live. So, Smith Partners is a big dominant brand in the area, quality brand, really, really good, great name. And, Emma, I know it's good to be part of such a solid name. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So let's just talk about Emma. Let's just set the scene. Let's just talk about now, if you're actually seeing a picture of Emma, she looks like she's 16 years of age, but she's not. So Emma, let's just go back. Tell us, a little bit about, I'm assuming you grew up in Adelaide, but let's talk about maybe just maybe a little bit about that. But then, what year and where did you get into real estate? Tell us about that.
Yes. So yes, I do look younger than I probably am. I started at 17 in real estate in 2012. So you do the math. So obviously we are currently based in Golden Grove. I did grow up in the Golden Grove, Windvale sort of area of Adelaide. Started with another company, 2012 in admin. About 3 months in, went into property management. Was there for about 3 years and been pretty much at Smith Partners since then. So I'm coming up 11 years with Smith Partners, and I've done sort of admin, account, sales, and back to property management, and now BDM. So One of those wearing lots of hats kind of person.
Well,
But
starting in 2012 at 17 years of age, you still look like you're 17. So that's really good. But I guess you do. Yeah. Do you have some people question your amount of experience?
Yeah, actually I do. I get quite commonly mistaken for someone that's new to the industry, or once they start talking to me, they realise not the case. I actually had someone, a client the other day, a new client. I said, I'm coming up 14 years in the industry. It'll actually be 14 years on this coming Friday. So, and she goes, "What, did you start when you were a toddler?" Once people start sort of having a conversation with me, they realise it's not the case. Just to look young, I suppose.
Yep. No, well done. So, and look, the truth is that you've had more experience than most property managers. So you're what I consider a general, a person that's very well grounded and knows your stuff. And I know, your roles. You've been a property manager, you're now BDM, and you're very good. You're very punctual. You're very good at what you do. So, you wear that with a badge of honor. But let's just we're talking about fees today, and focusing on earning more with your rent roll. Now, I did a post in 2022, and this really got us connected, okay? I did a post in Facebook, and it simply said, if you're not earning $3,000, that's all fees, management fees, leasing fees, all other fees, $3,000 a year at least per property per year, then you're doing it wrong. And I got a message from Karina, who's your boss, Karina Smith from Smith Partners, reached out and messaged Darren, we're not. We're well below that. We obviously need to change that. How do we? And that's where I connected with Karina, talked about the fee maximization process, who's increasing fees with current clients, dealt with the, Darren, but what if this and what if that happens and all of that stuff. And then it was all go. Karina said, right, we got to do this. She didn't shrink back in fear. And away we went. So Emma, then we're working together with you and Karina. So tell me right back to then, is that when we're putting up the fees, before we did it, what were you feeling at the time? What was your reaction? What do you remember your emotion feeling about that?
As expected, we were scared we'd lose a lot of business and lose quality business. And it's just, I guess, that fear. And as you say, the big but what if people leave? What if they don't want to pay it? And all of that. So a bit anxious at the start. Knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I suppose we knew it would be worth it. I suppose based on, our discussions with you as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, and look, be honest with you, Emma, most people stop right there. They can't get past their fear. And I've actually, in my posts and things like that, I've made up a new name called fear, Feer, fear. And most people can't get past that. And they think, no, I'm going to lose too many clients. No, that's not going to work for me. Yes, I know it's happened in the rent roll in the next suburb and the next suburb there, but it won't work. Oh, everyone's always got a reason why it won't work in their rent roll. All right. But you guys got past that. So, well done. And even though the fear was still there, you guys trusted me. We went through the process of all the step by step of rolling it out. And the fees that we rolled out weren't anything trivial. That they were serious increases, which I knew you guys would be able to do. So we went through that. I remember even I was actually at the leaders retreat in Bali and getting a phone call from Karina in a bit of a panic with a really multiple property landlord. If you probably remember the person's name, it was a lady. With freaking Darren, she's leaving. And I think we did an exercise together on how much money you were actually earning with that owner, how much time you were putting in with that owner, how much crap you guys were dealing with. You should have been kissing her goodbye a lot earlier than that. But yeah, just tell us about that. Tell us about that owner.
So I mean, I've pretty much been with the company since they opened almost. She had been with the company since even before I started. So pretty much, I think she was their first client or the first management that signed up with them. Fees were very, very low. This was an owner that wanted to do their own maintenance, but never did it. So it was a lot of time spent chasing it up and unhappy tenants and dealing with that. So very, very time consuming with very low fees. So that exercise definitely helped with weighing up, okay, well, what are we actually losing financially? And at that time, what we were bringing in versus what we were losing, it wasn't as, I guess, worrying that we were losing that. It was a lot easier to, like you said, just a goodbye.
And this is what we need to do, is that we've all been brainwashed with volume, numbers, property numbers, property numbers, property numbers. Like if we've got 100 properties and we fee max and we lose 5, but we're actually earning a lot more, most people can't get their head around that. And so they're very focused on the property numbers, and that is the holy grail. And so losing those, even though we're earning more, they still can't get their head around properly how that happens. But people always earning more at the end of their journey. So, do you remember the type of, aside from that, do you remember the type of clients in general that were lost?
I'd say 80-90%. I mean, we probably only lost, 10, 15 properties. So less.
And how many properties were actually fee max? Do you remember the number?
Over 200. Over 200, between 2 and 250.
Yeah. And so most of those, 80 to 90% of the 15 properties that you lost were crap.
Yeah, there was only maybe 2 properties that kind of hurt.
So let's say it was 15 properties, all right? So 200, let's just say 100 divided by 200 times by 15. So that's 7.5%. And people go, 7.5% of the portfolio. But as you said, 80 to 90% were crap. So that was probably 4% of the income, all right? Because they're all low rent, low fee, they've screwed you down. But it was, say 77.5% of the numbers, but say 4% of the income. And if we then go and bring in an extra 20%, all up, which is what I would have been aiming for at the time, well, everyone do the math. You're well ahead, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the deal. We know that 7.5% of properties would be 15 to 20% of your workload.
Yeah.
Because C-class landlords can end up being double the workload. So did you feel a sense of relief after losing those properties? Did you notice something different? Did you notice that the air was cleaner? What did you experience at the time?
Yeah, it was definitely a sigh of relief. We just found that you don't realize how much time you're spending on certain properties until they are gone and that time is cleared up. Everything is just running a lot smoother. And yeah, we did feel like we had a lot more time and we were actually earning more income, which is even better. Yeah, no, they, like I said, they were definitely C-class landlords. Yeah, so a lot less chasing up, a lot less unhappy tenants and
Okay.
things like
So
that.
let's just say you're at a property management event or something and someone says to you, look, I really need to be increasing my fees, but I'm too scared to do it. I'm going to lose too much business and but this and but that. What would you say to them?
Just do it. Just do it. I'd probably, yeah, give them an example of, I suppose, how it went for us and the fears that we had. I mean, long term, I mean, this is a couple of years back now, but long term, you know, we increased our average income per property by at least 1,000, and that's minimum. So a lot
Per
more.
property.
So got rid
Yep.
of sort of those C-class landlords and bringing in quality business. It's not only good for income, but also just overall happiness and, you know, positivity within the property management team as well. As we know, having a low income, high workload properties is just going to burn out quality property managers, which
Yep.
we know are
Yep.
hard enough to find. So
Yep.
it's definitely worth it in the end, so that's for sure.
So what you're saying there, through the exercise, you probably found about an extra 200 grand a year.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, that's great, and that's certainly normal. Sometimes I might see a little bit less than that. Sometimes I might see a little bit more, but that's generally what we're aiming for with this type of thing, which makes the whole thing worthwhile. Because 7.5 properties. I guess my guess on that would be, let's just say that was 11 grand, maybe 10 grand's worth of fee income. So per
Maybe
year.
that.
So
Yeah.
everyone, again, you've got to do the math. You can't look at the roofs
Yeah.
and front doors or be seduced by the volume thing. I've got to keep my roofs and front doors. It's about earning
Yeah.
more. Your rent roll's not based on how many properties you've got. It's based on your fee revenue as well, your base management fee plus the other fees as well. The more extra fees that you've got helps the multiplier as well. So all those sort of things. So let's move on to the next question, Emma. Now, I would say, from my knowledge, and we've fee shopped 100 agents in Adelaide, and we know what people are generally charging. Okay, but I know the work I've done with you on all your fees. If we actually pitched all your fees and stacked them against all the fees of the other agents down the road and throughout Adelaide, I know that overall per property, you guys would be earning the most. All right. On the average rents. And we're not talking about executive rents where the rents are, a lot higher and you might be earning a bit more, but we're talking about and I would say that your fees are overall higher than everyone else. Now, I know your management fee, your lease renewal fee, and your letting fees, what I call Adelaide vanilla. All right. Because, but your other fees are higher. And so let's talk about a couple, two fees in particular that you're getting. Now, these two fees, everybody, if I went down to 10 of the agents immediately in the northeast of Adelaide, which is where Smith Partners are based, and I went to them and said, hey, did you know you could be charging this fee at X dollars and this fee at X dollars? They'll go, no, you can't. Owners won't pay. Darren, you got rocks in your head. That won't work. No, I can't charge that. My rivals aren't charging those fees. So how can you? There's no way, if they're not charging it, I can't do it. And then I just get hammered with all of the big buts. But Darren, that won't work for me because, and of course, our job is to remove those big buts. These are the restrictions that stop you doing more. And everyone, if you understand in my book, the PM Fee Script Secrets, if you've got that, I've written 10 fee laws, and one of those is called the law of the fee lid. And your fees are your fees. And if I came to you and said, you could do better, you could do more, you could do this, you could do that, I will be getting, but Darren, I can't do that because, and then you come out with your reasons. Owners won't pay more. You don't know what owners are like. My rivals don't charge it, and you give me all the reasons why you can't do it. And that's called the law of the fee lid. Your lid is locked in place because of those reasons. So we work with people to remove those reasons, to release those mindset reasons, and then you're able to earn more once we lift the fee lid. So let's talk about two fees in particular, Emma. We talk about a routine inspection fee, and we're talking about a tenant exit fee. Now, I'll explain what the tenant exit fee is shortly, but the routine inspection fee, now I know a third of agents in South Australia charge a routine inspection fee. All right. In WA, everyone charges a routine inspection fee. Okay. Outside of South Australia and WA, hardly anyone charges a routine inspection fee. And so, and the point is in Adelaide, they're commonly $11, $22, $33, exactly what I was charging in the 90s.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but expenses have dramatically gone up since the 1990s. But yet,
Yep.
agents are still doing that. Now, your fee, all right, you're sitting, how much are you charging, Emma?
99.
$99. Okay, now, for me, that's still incredibly low because how long does it take to do a routine inspection? So drive time, booking time, do the inspection, do the work generated because you showed your face up at the property and the follow-up tasks you got to do now, and then get the report ready, sent to the owner. Emma, how long?
At least an hour.
An hour?
Property.
Yeah. And so my point is to everyone, you're managing, you're managing, let's say you're managing 500 properties and they're all like $1 million, wherever people are in Australia, that's $500 million with a B of someone else's assets. So you don't need to price yourself at $99 an hour like a plumber or a cheap electrician. And so that's pretty cheap from my point of view. So Emma, let's just walk through this. How do you feel about having what is probably the most expensive routine inspection fee in Adelaide?
How do I feel about it? Good. No, so look, I mean, we know, that, like you said, even that's cheap. It's worth it when you actually add up not just the time it takes, but the protection that it puts in place. We utilise through Inspection Express, we utilise the 360 camera, and we're utilising that for our routines as well now. So full view, as we know, there's more and more laws restricting what we can and can't do and things like that at routines. There's a lot more follow-up, a lot more in-depth that needs to be happening. Yes, tenants are required to submit maintenance and report maintenance. We all know they don't always. I've recently had a landlord come over to me from another agency. The routine reports, and of course they weren't charging for them, but the routine reports were not showing anything. They were hiding things, just no detail in it. Tenants, the landlord went to do some maintenance and realised other maintenance and realised that the house was trashed and things like that. So just having that 360, there's nothing hidden. We've got that full transparency, and the owners know that they're seeing the full view of the property. So it not only has that protection for them, but also that peace of mind that we are properly inspecting the property. Because as you know, we hear so many either doing less than kind of inspections or not even rocking up at all. So just going through that and what we do and showing the results that we get, I rarely get any kickback for that 99.
And that's it, everyone, is that the owners out there don't think like property managers. Property managers know what their competitors are charging. Owners don't know any of that. And at the end of the day, if they've come to you warm, if they've come to you trusting, and they want you, they don't really care about what you charge. And so I know you guys are really good at those warm leads, and you do really well at that. Now, Emma, quick question. If a plumber had to go out to a property and change over a leaky washer, how much would you expect that invoice to be?
I haven't done maintenance in a while. I think it's over $200 now. I think it's like
$200 for a leaky washer, washer that you wouldn't challenge. Don't everyone think that an owner will challenge $99. Okay, you got to put it in perspective, and don't let fear, F-E-E-R, fear, get in the way. All right, and you notice also Emma went straight into justifying. We use Inspection Express. Make sure everyone you're using Inspection Express, reach out to them at ipropertyexpress.com. And ask for a demo, but it's really easy to justify this stuff, particularly when you have the technology. But the truth, Emma, how often do you get challenged on the routine inspection fee?
Uh, very, very rarely. Maybe like 5% of the time,
Yep,
at a
yep.
guess. Like
And
very rarely. And even
that's
when I
the
get
truth.
questioned,
Yep,
once it's justified,
yep.
it's usually okay. Once they
All right.
understand why we charge what we charge, there's very, very rarely any further argument from it. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. So that's the truth, everybody, is that you think the owner's going to have a problem. They don't. The only problem with it's what's going on in your head. Owners will pay. All right. If you want to chat to me about this, just book into my diary at getbetterfees.com. Getbetterfees.com. I'm happy to have a chat to you about your situation and look at what other fees you can also do as well. It's something I've been doing for 20 years. Been doing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rent rolls across 3 countries. It's what I do best. And book into my diary and have a chat. Now, Emma, let's talk. We talked about the routine. And you've disappointed us. It's not hard at all. All right. It's really, really easy. And there's
You know
no
what
one
we're
else
doing,
in
yeah.
your area that's probably charging a routine inspection, let alone at that level, right? But it makes no difference, does it? Doesn't make any difference. Okay. Next one is the tenant exit fee. Now, everybody, the tenant exit fee is something that I've recently named, and it really is the opposite to the letting fee. Alrighty, now there are some agents out there, particularly across WA, everyone charges a final inspection fee there. But here is the point, everybody. If you charge the letting fee, you got rid of your letting fee and only started charging an ingoing inspection fee, then you would realize that you're restricted in what you can charge because the ingoing inspection is only part of the letting process. You would agree. But if you call it the letting process for the whole thing, then you know you can charge a lot more because you're able to justify a lot more than just the ingoing inspection. All right. Now, there are plenty of agents that charge an ingoing inspection separate to the letting fee. Not talking about that today, though. I can certainly teach you how to do that. But the tenant exit is simply everything associated with a tenant moving out. Okay, the outgoing inspection, the final inspection is just part of that process. So calling it an outgoing inspection and just charging for that limits you on the scope that you can charge. So the tenant exit is right from where you give notice to the tenant or they give notice to you, right through to the tenant landlord communication, right through to the final inspection, right through to all the hoo-ha that comes with that afterwards, and organising tradespeople and arguing with the tenant, all of that back and forth and all the work, and then to the bond refund. So just how have you gone with that fee, Emma?
Yeah, so it is a recent implementation. So far, very well. So far, no kickback, actually. Funnily enough. Again, get questioned. Oh, what's this for? It wasn't why are you charging this. It's what's that cover? And basically, yeah, obviously we only recently caught up and went through it all. But same, I suppose, with routine inspections, it's protecting their investment, and we utilize the 360 camera. We outline to landlords that with the 360, it does a side-by-side comparison. So there's virtually zero chance of, it was like that when I moved in. Or it's cleaner than when I moved in, as we know tenants love to say.
Now you got proof. Now you got proof if it was like that.
Yep, we've got proof. So yeah, it's got side-by-side comparison as well. And look, as we know, as any other property manager and landlord would know, if it escalates to a bond claim, and you have to go through SACAT, that's minimum 8 weeks at the moment. So I also justify it in a way of our negotiation skills to get that claim done via negotiations with the tenant without it escalating. And as you said, it's not just even that final inspection, that bond claim, that insurance claim. It's all the communication and preparing the tenant for vacating and giving them the vacate checklist, running through it. Just there's so much more that even before the tenant vacates happens, which minimises those issues that may arise at the final inspection, and therefore less claims to be done and more chance of obviously getting that done and getting the landlord their funds back quicker if there is a claim. So, I thought I could go on for hours about how much is involved in that process. But I think, it's probably 5-10 hours depending on whether there's a claim or not. There's just so much to it. But yeah, having that technology and that experience and that expertise in that space. Yeah, I did get one person asked what it's for. I explained it. Okay. So as long as you know what it covers, yeah.
Great discovery. Again, Inspection Express, you need to have a chat to them, reach out. If you want the details from me, just contact me. But did you notice that Emma went straight into justifying and using a point of difference? Okay, now there's probably other agents in the area that are using Inspection Express as well. But if they're not pointing it out to the owner in that way and showing it how it benefits them, it's not a point of difference at all. It's nothing. All right. And so Emma is getting the perception of the point of difference and said in a way that means something and matters to the actual client, particularly around how it dissolves conflict and the amount of time to go to tribunal, 8 weeks. That's very, very scary. This technology just knocks it on the head, and suddenly you're showing that their fee is a lot cheaper than the alternative. All right. The alternate cost. And that's actually called the law of alternate cost. So well done, Emma, for demonstrating the law of alternate cost. Now, okay, so let's just talk about, all up, you actually said to me, Darren, that we're actually now earning this approximately per year per property now. What's the numbers that you actually told me? What you told me, Darren, this is now what we're earning.
At least four.
$4,000. $4,000, at least $4,000. And that's going to go up and down depending on the actual weekly rent, but it's a lot different from the two only, several years ago. You've gone and doubled. And I actually had a guy in New Mexico that I work with. His name was Sean, and he was at $125 per property per month total fees. When I finished with him after 3 years, he was at $266. So, guys, this can typically double, depending on what you do, double your fee income per property. So if you're at $200,000 on 100 properties, well, it could be at $400,000 for 100 properties. This is what it does. But to do that, we have to change your thinking, because your thinking says, no, it can't be done. And that's the problem. That's the invisible restriction that needs to be done. So again, book into my diary, getbetterfees.com if you want to chat about that. Now, moving on. So, all right. Now, one thing, Emma, I do quote you on quite a bit. And you said something profound some years ago. I knew it, but you just spelled it out really well, is that owners just negotiate for negotiation's sake. You remember that? Yeah. Tell us about your thoughts around that.
Oh, goodness. Oh, you always put me on the spot. I don't even think about it. Put it in words.
You just realise that owners do negotiate just for negotiation's sake. You see, the owner, you said, pointed out the final inspection fee. They queried it, but someone else may just question it for question's sake, because you're a real estate agent and your fees are meant to be negotiable. And so, you found that, haven't you? That people just negotiate just for the sake of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. People will ask, oh, why do you charge that? Or so-and-so, so-and-so down the street only charges that. Okay, absolutely. We know what we charge. Our competitor knows what we charge, and we know what they charge as well. The reason that they're not charging what we charge, they know what we're charging. The reason that they aren't there is because they can't compete with our service. And then obviously we'll go into details, depending on the fee, into justifying that and why we charge what we charge. And I'd say, 9 times out of 10, once we've justified that, it's okay, no worries, all right, I'm still happy to go ahead. But so many just still go, oh, can you drop it by 1%? Okay, no worries. Instead of actually having that conversation. Okay, well, why are you asking for that? Oh, it's because so-and-so charges that. Well, this is why we charge this. And they'll ask because they've done their shop around, but they've come to you because they want you. We go, well, okay, so-and-so's charging less, why haven't you signed with them yet? Oh, because we like that you do this, this, this. And that's why we charge that. They answer the wrong question half the time.
Yeah. Well done. So that first script that you gave is that they know what our charges are and we know what our charges are, and they know, but they can't deliver the level of service that we deliver. So instead, they've simply adjusted their fees down to what they deliver. If they actually were as good as us, they knew they were as good as us, they'd be charging the same as us, but they're not. And that script, everyone's on page 111 of my PM Fee Script Secrets book. And just got to stop discounting fees for that book. Just pay shipping. Stopdiscountingfees.com, PM Fee Script Secrets. And Emma, you're a real student, because that was straight out of the book. So well done. Okay, moving on. So, all right, now we're at new business. And an owner says the typical fee objection. Now, everybody understand, and this is really why we can get a quality routine inspection fee, why we can get a tenant exit fee, why we can get all of these other add-on fees, is because owners really only focus on and give a crap about the management fee. So we know 90% of the time they're focusing on the management fee, not the other stuff. They're usually going to ask a question on one fee. Why? Because you're in real estate, therefore your fees are meant to be negotiable, but they don't negotiate on several. They just go for one, mainly the management fee, and usually around the 1%. They go for the 1%. So that makes it easy, everybody. They're going to go for the 1%, and usually they're going to pop the question on that. It's easy just to have 2 or 3 scripts ready. So Emma, the most common fee objection that everyone likes to use, but the other agent is cheaper. Mm-hmm. Again, what's your response to that, or have we already answered that?
Yeah, so I briefly touched on it, just in regards to, so and so only charges that. Okay, well, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, if they're cheaper, is there a reason that you haven't signed with them and that you've come back to me? And they will pretty much justify my fee at that point, because they'll explain why they've come back. Okay, well, that's why we charge that. And as I said, have 2 or 3 scripts, up your sleeve. I've, as you can probably tell, I've read that, your PM fee script a fair few times and live by it, because it definitely works. And yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, the cup of coffee thing. That cup of coffee reference, half the time it's a couple of dollars a week, $5 a week, no worries. Look, your property is worth, let's say, $800,000. So you're willing to risk that $800,000 when you would prefer to list with us, because they've already told us that they want to. So you're willing to risk that and go with an agency that you're not really wanting to go with for the sake of $5 per week. Obviously, the answer is going to be no, yeah. And I'd say probably about 90% of the time we get it across the line. You might have those few that, are a stickler, but the scripts are pretty much drilled into my brain. So anything that comes up, it just flows out. And like I said, it's generally 1% and about $5 a week. So
what I like
I've come back here for a reason.
You've been such a student of the book, and so good. And obviously, you've got my time, Darren. Can we do a cup of coffee? And we do. Not a problem. You've got me on tap, but which is great. So, people in America are going, I wish I had Darren on tap. Well, Emma does. So, but what I love though, you said I've drilled these. So when you're under pressure in a listing presentation, your brain goes clunk. You can't think. These just flow out because it's out of your subconscious, isn't it? Have you noticed the difference?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just knowing the script, it's believing the script. As you know, Darren, I've, had to work on my confidence and knowing, and I guess not convincing myself, but working on believing that we are worth it. Because the more you believe it, the more confident you will come across, and then they'll believe it too. So it's not just knowing the script, it's believing them and having trust in them.
Wow. You know my stuff so well. So well done. It's all about confidence. It's all about believing in that and knowing your stuff. So well done. That's
so
really,
everyone
really
knows. Darren didn't tell me to quote his script.
It's just like you've obviously read my stuff. So well done. You're a real disciple there, which is great. So I'm glad that I've been able to impart. You just take it, you learn it, and you implement it. Most people learn, but they don't implement. And you're a testament, Emma, for your income now per property approximately more than $4,000, sometimes more than that, 4,200, 300, whatever. You guys are doing so well. Property management's hard. You may as well be paid well for it. So again, book into my diary, everyone, getbetterfees.com if you want to have a chat. And go to igtcentral.com if you want to have a look at all of our books. I've got my Win Your Worst Secrets book. We've got the Lead Machine Secrets book, which is the 28 ways to grow your rent roll, plus PM fee script secrets for all of those discount scripts, particularly with what Emma rattled off. So Emma, great job. Now, if people are going to reach out and say hello to you, how can they get in contact with you?
Either mobile phone, but I am pretty active on my Instagram. My, whatever it's called, tagline, whatever they're called, handle. Yeah, I'm older than I look. So invest with Emma _Adelaide. And you can reach out to me anytime.
So invest with Emma _Adelaide, and reach out to Emma. Some great social media as well. So yeah, thank you, Emma. That's been a really, really good episode. But thank you so much, and everyone, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.